Hello, 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 hello. Happy Friday, everybody. Happy Friday. Welcome to the show. Got a great show for you guys today. Follow-up show. Oldie but goodie, so to speak. So who do we have with us on this fine Friday? Hello, positive therapist. I'm going to start bottom and work my way backwards. Hello, the realest she. Hello, Igwe's daughter. Hello, skincare do's and don'ts. Hello, Ernestine. Welcome back. Ernestine sells Mobile, Alabama. That is funny. That's a good one. Happy Friday. I agree. So, it was about 2 months ago that I told you guys about the wildest fairy tale of all time. The wildest fairy tale. What made this so wild, right? There's this lady, Lexi Reed, otherwise known as Fat Girl Fed Up. She was over 300 pounds. Fairy tale, found a guy who fell in love with her, right? He marries her. Then they start to get fat together. Well, he wasn't really fat before, but she obviously was. She gets up to close to 500 pounds. 500 pounds. Yeah, 500 pounds. Then they start to lose weight together. So everything is well, right? Not quite. There's a little scandal involving the husband's friend and her. Some naughty messages were posted on Instagram from text messages. Then there was a DietBet scandal. Then she mysteriously ended up in the hospital with liver and kidney failure, supposedly, allegedly. There's a GoFundMe page for like 200K. Lots of things have been going on with Lexi Reed. So what's the latest with Lexi Reed? That's what we're here to discuss, right? So without further ado, let's get right into it.
Today we are going to be talking about Lexi Reed, or better known as Fat Girl Fed Up on Instagram. Made videos about Lexi in the past. There has been some stuff recently that has happened that has put her back in the limelight, back in the spotlight. So we're going to be talking about a little bit about her past as well as the stuff that has been going on recently. Lexi Reed is a very popular weight loss influencer, especially on Instagram. She has lost over 300 pounds. She was 485 pounds at her highest, and she started to garner a lot of popularity on Instagram in about 2016. Now, I think it's important to talk about what Instagram was like back then, because that's actually when I started to garner a lot of my popularity as well.
This is interesting because this gives, as a backstory, how you have these fitness influencers out there who, for better or for worse, some are good and some are terrible. But this is the genesis of how, if you got in there early enough, almost like a gold rush, you could hit jackpot and you could become famous, whether it's on Instagram or YouTube.
I think at that time, social media had been around for a little bit, but it wasn't what it is now. And so there was a lot of novelty in finding someone that you could relate to. And so this was something that I also was able to garner a lot of popularity from, because a lot of people would find me and they'd think to themselves, wow, this is someone that's lost weight. That's not some huge celebrity type of person. I'm going to follow them. And that seems to be what happened with Lexi. And on top of that, Lexi is obviously a woman, and I know this sounds crazy, but women in general are more interested in weight loss. And so you'll see a lot more women in the weight loss space. And so that led her to garner even more popularity. Like, she has over 1 million followers on Instagram. But a big reason for that was obviously an insanely impressive weight loss journey, over 300 pounds lost, as well as being very relatable. So a lot of people really flocked to her page back in 2016. Another really important part of Lexi's story is actually her relationship with her husband. It is actually a really, really interesting story, in my opinion, because they were together when Lexi was at her largest, and they stayed together throughout all of the weight loss. So in 2016, around that time, they actually both ended up leaving their jobs to pursue being, influencers full time. And I think that decision and that around that time is when things started to kind of unravel and issues started to arise. When talking about Lexi and these scandals that are going on, I would be remiss not to mention DietBet. Now,
Now, what is DietBet? Something somewhat scandalous. Scandalous, I say, right? Why is that? DietBet had pretty good intentions, I would say, when starting out. Maybe they never did. Who the heck knows, right? But the point of the matter is that it's a system where to make money in DietBet, other people have to lose. Meaning you put money into a pot, supposedly to motivate you to lose weight. And if you're the winner, you win some of the pot, right? But it's pretty misleading because some of these pots can be huge, 100K, stuff like that. And you think, oh, wow, if I win, I'll win all of this. But the problem is for you to win that money, everybody else has to lose, right? You're essentially making money by people failing at their weight loss goals. Not that just they're losing money, they're actually failing at their weight loss goals. So it's a kind of messed up kind of thing. And as a matter of fact, even when some people win, they essentially earn less money than they put in, so to speak. It's not the greatest thing at all. It's very controversial is the best way to put it. Very controversial, I would say.
DietBet was an incredibly huge, it was a huge, at first it seemed like a really cool thing to do and it seemed really awesome, but then it kind of devolved into more of a scandal and almost like a scandalous type of thing. So I do want to spend a little bit of time talking about DietBet and the issues people had. But again, this is an entire video on its own that I actually have recorded in the past, so I will link that in the description. But I wanted to spend some time explaining the issues that people had with DietBet. If you are not familiar with DietBet, what it is basically it's a website that they run these things called diet bets. What is that? Well, you basically go to the website and you sign up for whatever diet bet it is. Normally they last about a month, and in that month you're supposed to lose a certain amount of weight, and if you end up losing the weight, you receive some of the money that is put in the pot. Because when you first sign up for the diet bet, you put in, usually it's about $30 to $40 to say, if I don't lose this amount of weight,
Now, it should be noted, when people start, they can cheat, right? I mean, you could eat foods like just with a ton of sodium, salt, to drink a ton of water to artificially inflate your thing, starting with a bunch of heavy meals. So they're in your system. So people can kind of game the system. Yeah,
I'm giving up this money, right? That's the whole thing. You're betting on yourself. That's their whole slogan. And so at first, I remember I saw it and said, oh, this seems pretty cool, to motivate people to lose weight. And so I actually have done diet bets in the past. I think I did 2 or 3 back in 2016 or 2017. And I remember I got to a point where I decided I no longer want to do this. The reason for that was because I started to notice the way that I was making money off of the diet bet was literally tied to people failing the diet bet. Because something that I don't know how obvious it is now, but when I started doing them, it wasn't obvious to the people participating, but I made 10% on my first diet bet. And then I remember I had meetings with diet bet and they said, as you do more, the percentage that you get goes up because diet bet also takes a cut.
Now, just for context, it's been reported online that Lexi Reed has made hundreds of thousands of dollars in that bet.
But I made 10% on the pot. Now, so say if it's a huge pot, which sometimes they could get really large, you're making thousands of dollars per diet bet. But again, I felt really weird taking the money because the money I'm getting is from people signing up and failing, right? And the other thing on top of that is the people that quote unquote split the pot would make maybe $10, sometimes even less. And so
you pay $30 or $40 to enter and you win $10. Wow. Hashtag losing.
They would sign up for this diet bet, see this huge pot, right? $100,000 in the pot. And they think, oh my God, if I lose this weight, I can make so much money. They win, quote unquote, win the diet bet and they make $5 while the host, as well as diet bet, are making away with thousands of dollars, right? And so that really the basis of the issue that people have with diet bet. Again, so I did about 3. I decided I no longer want to do these. Now, when it comes to Lexi, she has been very, very active in doing diet bets. So she has, I think from what I remember, she was doing like one basically every single month, which is like pretty insane. But again, people started to figure out that fact that I just shared with you, a lot of it, I think, because of the video that I made, not to toot my own horn or anything, but people started to realize, holy crap, people are making a lot of money by doing diet bets, right? By hosting diet bets. And so she was hosting all of these diet bets, and it was very easy. Again, I can't say whether or not the numbers are the same as they used to be or if they've changed or anything like that, the percentages, but when I did my first one, it was 10% of the pot, right? So it's very easy to look at the pots of all the diet bets that are going on and saying 10% of that is $15,000, 10% of that is $10,000, right? And people started to realize, wow, this person is making a lot of money off of these.
Let's pause this right here and rewind a little bit so we can look at this. So bets placed, $7.2 million, 52 games organized. That's a heck of a lot of money, right? She gets a cut out of this, a commission, essentially, percentage. Let us continue.
So it's very easy to look at the pots of all the diet bets that are.
And if you notice, she does these quite regularly. She did them very regularly as well. That'd be the other thing to notice.
Going on and saying 10% of that is $15,000, 10% of that is $10,000, right? And people started to realize, wow, this person is making a lot of money off of these diet bets, as well as people having an issue just in general with the fact that someone is making that much money literally on other people failing to lose weight, right? So it was.
So, you know, if you're talking 10% of this, right, that's quite a lot of money, obviously, right? You're talking 700K right there.
It was this really weird situation. Even with all of that stuff that I mentioned, people were still signing up, obviously. And now a lot of the issues.
This is the issue with the whole fitness space on social media, right? Even when scandals come out and something is proven to be bad or nonsensical or downright shady, people stick behind these people or these products. Yeah, they lose a bunch, but they gain a bunch. How is this possible? Marketing, right? Imagine you've never heard of Fat Girl Fed Up or any other scandal out there, right? And you're on Facebook, some Facebook ad pops, or you're on YouTube, some YouTube ad, and you go, oh, wow, that looks interesting, or that looks cool. That person has a cool story, or they look amazing, blah, 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 blah. Of course, they're going to have a killer marketing program, right? So you're going to click, and then you get sucked in just like that, right? That's the issue. So maybe a couple 100,000, couple million people see a video like this. I mean, not mine, this guy's. And tens of millions will see the ads. And this is how these things help to perpetuate. Plus, once people get emotionally attached to some of these people, it's hard for them to let go. It's incredibly hard for them to let go. They're like die-hard fans, hardcore fans.
A lot of people had with the diet bets, especially with Lexi, was there was a lot of things that were promised, whether it was giveaways, whether it was, I'm going to be in the diet bet constantly, I'm going to be commenting, I'm going to be active, right? So
now that's another controversial bit, right? Because what started happening over the years is that she started to put back on weight, a good amount of weight, as you'll see eventually in some of these video clips. So here this person is making a lot of money in a diet bet, claiming that she's working out, losing weight with you, she's there with you, but she doesn't communicate. She appears to be not losing weight anymore. In fact, she appears to be gaining weight. She stopped doing videos. The last YouTube video was like 2 years ago or almost 3 years ago. Just lots of pictures, and then people are accusing her of posting old pictures. Yeah.
So there was a lot of advertisements basically for this diet bet. We are going to be doing this, so you should join. And so people were like, wow, that sounds like a good value. Let me spend my money on this. And then the diet bet would happen. No sign of Lexi, no sign of these giveaways, no sign of the things that were promised, and people had an issue with that. And then on top of that, when the issues were getting brought up, allegedly comments were getting deleted, people were getting blocked. So a lot of people were getting very upset, and they felt.
This sound familiar to the show I did called Scammed? You remember that fitness influencer being sued by the state of Texas? Very similar, right? Except in that case, it's a very beautiful lady, all kind of scandalous stuff, and her fans are still following her. Here we got this other lady over here. She's lost over 300 pounds. Scandals. People still has over 1 million subscribers or followers on Instagram, right? These people are pretty hardcore.
Very hurt, and a lot of them felt very tricked by the fact that, oh, this is what I was promised, and they were given something completely different. Hello, this is Editing John. I found this post and I wanted to read it out, so this is what it says. It'll be on screen as well. To our DietBet community, thank you so much for your recent feedback regarding our host, Lexi Reed. Your thoughts are incredibly important to us, and we take your feedback seriously. After much consideration, we've decided to continue our partnership with Lexi in 2020. We look forward to helping her continue to inspire thousands of players along their wellness journey. Lexi is committed to making improvements in her games going forward, such as more posts from Lexi, transparency, when she is participating in the game versus coaching, and additional follow-up steps for when players may not have received their notices to claim their prizes. We deeply value our community of diet bettors. Like our games, we strive to create a positive, supportive space on this page so that we can share our players' success and provide encouragement. Should you have any questions or concerns regarding Lexi Reed or your DietBet games, please contact us directly at support@waybetter.com. All of those issues were happening with DietBet, and there were also some other issues I'm not really going to talk about, more personal relationship type issues that
I think I already touched on the salacious stuff with the husband's friend. Let's leave it at that.
were going on around the same time that I think made a lot of people very skeptical of a lot of the stuff that was going on here. Now, the reason that I'm telling you all of this before we get into what has been happening recently is I think it gives a lot of context as to why people are so skeptical about what's going on now. So what is going on now? Let's talk about it.
This is where, again, you got to use your critical thinking and just pure common sense, right? Some of these people are not here in your best interest online. They're just trying to make a buck. In some cases, they can make a lot of bucks at your expense. At your expense. They seem to not really care. Either they're indifferent or maybe worse. But you got to be careful with a lot of these people.
In the past few years, Lexi has struggled with something that a lot of quote unquote weight loss influencers struggle with, and that's regaining weight after.
So that's her on the left, and then she shrunk to the lady on the right. But she's now heading back the opposite direction.
Weight loss. And again, I'm not here to judge anyone. Losing weight and keeping it off is incredibly hard.
This guy himself, I'd like to say he lost over 300 pounds, or at least 200 for sure. So he has a ton of loose skin. So he himself has lost a ton of weight. I lost 65 pounds once and I gained it back. So I know it's definitely hard to keep the weight off, right?
But again, she was gaining weight, but still doing these diet bets and being, from what I've seen, very not forthright about these things. And again, when you have a following that follows you because you are a weight loss inspiration to them, there are expectations that are put on you, and they're not fun to deal with, but they are there. And so a lot of people, again, were seeing this weight gain and it wasn't being brought up. So again, that just makes people kind of feel a little weird.
I muted myself. Struggle streaming on Friday. So what I was saying a while ago was what he's talking about with the expectations. That's a real thing. Now, if you want to lose weight, gain weight in the privacy of your own home or what have you, more power to you. No, I lost 65 pounds. I gained it right back. But when you make money because of your weight loss or because you're strong or what have you, then you kind of have to maintain that, right? Or if you don't maintain it, you shouldn't try to hide it. That's the big issue there, right? Where you're trying to hide it and still taking money from these people. Imagine you guys giving me super chats and I give you no information. Then you feel like I stole from you, right?
and put off by the whole situation. Now, one thing about Lexi is that she was always very, very active on Instagram. I remember back in like 2016, 2017, she would post like 3 times a day. And then when stories came out, it was even more. Now, those posts started to slow down over the years. I think when you're dealing with gaining weight online, people can be very harsh. So I think that was part of it, not wanting to post pictures of yourself because you're going to be dealing with people kind of, just being mean and saying mean things. But then the beginning of this year, 2022, everything kind of went dark. She was completely gone. And again, even though she wasn't posting as much as she used to, she still was very active for the most part on Instagram. So people really, really started to worry. On February 10th, there was a post posted on Lexi's Instagram that kind of gave insight as to what was going on. Now, this post was posted by her husband, and it reads this right here. I put it up on the screen if you're just listening, but it says, "Sorry for the late update, but I, Discovering Danny, and family have been focusing on getting Lexi back to health. A few weeks ago, Lexi kept getting sick and couldn't keep any food down. Then she started acting differently, so I took her to the hospital where they admitted her into the ICU." That's freaking scary, man. "Placed on a medically induced coma and a ventilator. And me and that organs started failing." I think that's just a typo. "They also told me if I had waited, it's possible that she could have died. She is currently on dialysis, can't walk, and is working on recovery. Sadly, we do not have health insurance." I thought that was a little weird, but everyone's different. "Thank you all for the prayers. They mean so much to us, and this will be a long, hard battle. Part of her story, but she is strong," right? So if you are just watching the video and you see this photo, this is terrifying, and I don't wish this on anybody. Now, with that being said, I remember when I first saw this post, first, obviously, I was like, that's terrifying and very scary. And I'm just going to be honest. So if you think that I'm being very cynical and a terrible person, that you can feel that way, I understand. But I remember I read that and I just felt a little weird. Obviously, I was concerned and I had hoped that she was okay. But I felt very strange that in this post that was letting us know that apparently she's been in the hospital for weeks now, right? Is we don't have health insurance. And I remember thinking, I'm just being honest, there's going to be a GoFundMe for sure. And guess what? There was a GoFundMe made the next day. This is the GoFundMe right here. It says there is $72,666 raised of $100,000. Now, something that's important is when this GoFundMe was first put up, it had a goal of $200,000, which in and of itself, I understand. We don't got free health insurance. We have to pay for everything in America. And so sometimes when you get sick and you don't have health insurance, that stuff is incredibly expensive. And so I have no problem with people doing this in and of itself. But let's read what the first post on this GoFundMe was. So it says, "Hi, my name is Danny and I'm fundraising for my 31-year-old wife, Lexi. On January 20th, she was first admitted into the hospital after she kept getting sick. Couldn't keep any food down and started acting differently, so I took her to the hospital where they admitted her into the ICU. Placed on a medically induced coma on a ventilator and told me, it's another typo, told me that her organs had started failing. They also told me that if I had waited any longer, it's possible she could have died. I was only able to spend 30 minutes with her due to COVID, but it wasn't COVID related. I spent many days not knowing what was going to happen. She is currently in dialysis, can't walk, and working on physical therapy at home and cannot afford a program. She was unable to leave the hospital bed for 3 weeks. Sadly, we do not have insurance, and we are currently waiting to find out about a kidney transplant as well as a liver transplant. Thank you for all your prayers. They all mean so much to us, and this will be a long, hard battle. Part of her story, but she is strong. Anything will help us as we are glad to still have her in our lives." Now, I want to make it very clear. All of that sounds incredibly scary, and I can imagine what it's like to deal with that. So I am not sitting here saying like, oh, that's not a big deal, right? But what I am going to bring up is the issues that people had. Now, again, they make this GoFundMe and they're asking for $200,000. So the first issue that people started to have was why do you need this money? The reason
It sounds so simple, right? But I mean, it is what it is. Like, why do you need $200,000? We know you've made hundreds of thousands of dollars. You just got out of the hospital. How do you know you need 200K? That's a very round, exact figure, right? Yeah, I know for people that don't have insurance, there are like hospital social workers or caseworkers that basically consult with you on your financial situation as to what you can pay or not pay. And there's access to programs, different kind of programs, depending on what state you live in here in the US anyway, that can cover most or at least some of the cost. So it's it's a bit, it's a bit shady. That's to put it mildly, right? It's a bit shady.
The reason that I brought up all that DietBet stuff in the past is, again, she was hosting them very, very frequently. And from what we know, and who knows, maybe this changed, but we have never gotten any information otherwise, is that we can see all of these diet bets are going on. If you take 10% out of that, there's a lot of money that is being made, right? And so people were very confused as to why someone was asking for money when it was very easy to see they're making at least around this much per month. They should be able to afford this, right? So people had an issue with that at the very beginning. Another one of the very big issues people seem to have was that, again, there is nothing wrong with asking for money. I think that it's totally fine. I get it. I understand. But the thing is there's no such thing as a free lunch, right? And so when you ask for money and you receive it, there are now going to be expectations that are placed on you that wouldn't have been if you were not asking for money.
So that's the key thing, right? You can't be going public for sympathy and then want to keep everything private. It doesn't work that way. If you're going to go public, complain, or tell your story or ask for money, then people are going to want to know, hey, what happened? I gave you $20, $10, $200, whatever. Like, how is it? How are things going? Are you getting better? Right? What is going on? But they were just radio silent. Nothing was being told whatsoever.
One of the biggest expectations was the fact that, hey, you asked for 200,000. The GoFundMe actually ended up getting taken down for some reason. People still don't really know why.
That was also another shady thing. It just magically disappeared, then it pops back up at like half the amount. Supposedly, allegedly, people went and complained to GoFundMe.
It got put back up asking for 100,000, right? But you are asking for this substantial amount of money, and people were definitely donating. Obviously, up to $70,000 has been raised now, but those people that were donating are now curious, what's going on? What happened? Why were you in the hospital? Why is this all going on? Why do you need my money? And a lot of people feel like a lot of those questions have never been answered. There were a few updates on the GoFundMe, but again, nothing really substantial. Now, the only real update actually happened through an interview that she did with a local from like Indiana news company, broadcast. And so I'm going to play that video and then we'll talk about it afterwards.
On the road to recovery after an unexpected trip to the ER.
News 10's Kit Hanley explains how this fitness influencer's life has completely changed.
I spoke with Lexi Reed, also known as Fat Girl Fed Up. She gained popularity on social media by sharing her weight loss journey and losing over 300 pounds. But after making a huge amount of progress, she says her health took a turn for the worse. 31-year-old Lexi Reed was rushed to the emergency room on January 20th after 4 days feeling sick.
I thought maybe I just had food poisoning.
Look how much bigger she has become, right? Compared to how small she had become. You can hear the weight in her voice as well.
Because I couldn't keep anything down.
But her husband, Danny, had a
look how lean her face is there, her chin, right?
Feeling that something more was to blame. He took her into the hospital and she was immediately placed into a medically induced coma for 5 days.
They said that my liver failed.
Again, her chin and neck are kind of just merging into one, essentially. So at this point in time, I know she had gotten down to like 220 or something from her heaviest at like 500 rather, or close to that 485. I would suspect she's well over 300 pounds again. Well over 300 pounds. Hey, we got a super chat from Tamika. Thank you so much, Tamika. I really appreciate this. No health insurance and you're a health influencer. Yes. Thank you so much for the super chat, Tamika. I appreciate it. It's your hard-earned money, or it's your parents' money, or I don't know, sibling, special friend, whatever. But I know it's somebody's hard-earned money, and I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
My kidneys were failing. They said that I had pneumonia while I was in the coma, which I actually didn't find out about until down the line, looking at my paperwork. And they didn't really know what caused all of it.
Reed tells me the doctors think her condition was linked to severe dehydration. She barely remembers anything from her hospital stay and only recently came to terms with how serious it was.
That the doctors actually had told him that if he didn't take me to the hospital when he did, that I might have died.
Now the weight loss influencer is back home recovering, but life looks a lot different.
Again, you notice she looks drastically different there on this cardio machine, right? Compared to what she looks like now.
But I went from being completely healthy,
Nope, there's no way she's completely healthy. That makes no damn sense. Looking at her, that's impossible.
I could go on runs.
You cannot go on runs at her weight. That's an impossibility. Unless you're playing in the NFL and you're over 300 pounds as an offensive lineman or defensive lineman, that's the only way you're running anywhere. Normal people at 300 pounds are not running anywhere. And those people at 300 pounds, they're tall. They're like 6'5", 6'3", 6'7". She's like a little over 5 feet. She's not running around anywhere at 300 plus pounds. That ain't happening. There's no way that's happening. That's an impossibility. An impossibility.
The gym, I could go for walks. I could play with my dogs. Till all of a sudden, I can't walk and my health is declining.
Again, notice when she's exercising how different she looks. I mean, look at her here, right? Look at that person and then look at this person. It's like two different people, right? It's like she's got a sister or it's her daughter or something.
My health is declining.
Reed's daily trips to the gym have been replaced with daily trips to the doctor for rounds of dialysis. But getting her there is another struggle in itself. Reed needs assistance getting in and out of the vehicle and now requires a wheelchair and a walker.
I almost feel like I was back where I was when I was before I even lost my weight.
Reed says right now all she can do is be patient and positive. And although times are tough, she says she recognizes that she is still alive for a reason.
I have the chance to show others that the comeback can be greater than the setback, even if you have to come back a few times.
Reed tells me she does not have health insurance. She and her husband have decided to make a GoFundMe to help cover medical expenses. If you'd like to donate or follow along with her medical journey, visit our website at WTHITV.com.
Obviously, there is a ton to unpack with that video, but I think what most people had issue with was, again, $200,000 was asked for at first. Again, that was slashed down to $100,000 once the GoFundMe got put back up. But there was just such a lack of information and people were confused. Like so many people, it seems, at least from the comments I've read, was that they saw she might need a new liver, might need new kidneys. People were like, oh my God, that sounds insane. I'm going to donate. And then it felt like there wasn't any update. And then finally this video comes out, right? People find it and it said that it seemed like it was a severe lack of severe dehydration, right? Which I'm sure that can be very, very terrible, but people were just like, it was like, why aren't we being told this? Why are we finding this out from some random, like news interview? So a lot of people seem to have issue with that. So it's been over a month since all of this kind of happened, and still people are just a little confused as to what is actually going on. A lot of people seem to have issue with the fact that the money was asked for so soon, right? Because a lot of people are like, how would you even know how much money you need? I think that a lot of people were just a little especially with the fact that, you know, $200,000 was asked for at first, and then mysteriously the GoFundMe disappears, and then now it's $100,000. I think people were confused, and I can understand, right, being in their position, being freaked out and being like, holy crap, we're probably gonna need a lot of money, and then like asking for the money. That's like, honestly, I get it, right?
The problem here is that when you make a mistake like that, if that is what happened, then you just got to come public and say this. Hey, made a mistake. We panicked. We asked for 200K. We only need 100,000K. But again, it's all radio silence with these people, right? Unless they want to get something from you. So all very sketchy, very sketchy.
But then once you start figuring more and more things out, I think, again, like when it comes to this, it's so important to understand that I don't believe that any of this information is anyone's business until you start asking for money. Then you have decided that one of the things that you are going to have to deal with now, at least in my opinion, is that once you start asking for money from people on the internet, they do deserve some sort of transparency.
I agree 100% with this. 100% with this. I mean, once you involve people and them giving you money, you can't just ignore them. You'd be like me ignoring your guys' super chats. You'd be all pissed off, right?
And so now you've opened yourself up to that. And it seems like a lot of people feel like there just hasn't been enough of that transparency. There have been about 6 different updates on the GoFundMe. The most recent one is from March 22nd, and it reads, after being on dialysis for almost 2 months, Lexi has been cleared by her doctor to stop, with the results showing normal range for her kidneys. Lexi doctor also approved her to have her port removed, and she got that removed yesterday. Last week, her knee gave out twice and she fell, but we have an MRI scheduled since the x-ray.
Again, her knee gave out, fell. Again, she was not running anywhere, right? This is more contradictions, right? Talk about, I was going running. No, you could barely walk, most likely.
It didn't show much. We aren't able to find out much about her liver, but we're told she needs to see a liver specialist if she can be referred, and that her blood cell count was normal. We received her first several high bills for her medical expensive, and also wanted to say thank you for all of the donations as well, as all of you have done to help with our family. It means a lot to us as Lexi heals and we continue to find answers through this. That's the last update there. I don't really have much to say. I'll let you guys, come to your conclusions, but now I want to share my thoughts on just the whole situation in general. So when it comes to being a fitness / weight loss influencer, there are definitely a lot of pros and there are a lot of cons. Asking for the money, again, in and of itself, I don't think that that's a terrible thing. I don't think that, I don't know how much money they have made through DietBet. I don't know if they actually have the money and they're lying and they are complete. Like, I don't know any of that stuff, right? All I know is from what I can see. And so they asked for the money. I'm just going to assume that they actually needed it. I think where the biggest issue here comes in is just a lack of transparency, and it just seems like they're not giving enough information. And I really think that if more information was given out, if more transparency was there, it would quell a lot of the issues it seems like a lot of people have. But this is one of those things that I think it's, it's a warning sign to other people that want to get into maybe being an influencer, a weight loss influencer, whatever you want to call it, is that like, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Obviously, a lot of this stuff can be avoided, but when you're in the public eye, like, you have to deal with stuff like this. At the end of the day, I hope that everything turns out okay. Like, medical stuff is freaking scary, and so I understand being scared, and I can understand even if this was a knee-jerk reaction to make this GoFundMe because you were really scared and then it kind of blew up and now you didn't know what to do. I can understand that, right? I think the best thing to do is be honest, say, this is what happened, tell people this is why I ended up in the hospital for whatever reason it is, and like, just be honest. Like, I really think that that is the best way to go about this, and to really quell a lot of the, people that are angry. Of course, there are always going to be people that are just never going to accept anything that you do. That's just part of the game. But I think being honest and being transparent and just letting people know what is going on is the first step in making this kind of less of a toxic situation. But again, that's just my opinion. I'm curious what y'all think.
And I'm curious what y'all think as well. So let's go to the chat to see what's going on. Let's see. What do you guys have to say about this? Interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. Hey, Angelique, welcome to the show. I missed you joining us. Hope all is well with you and the family. Good. I'm glad you're prioritizing sleep. If you cheat on sleep, his twin or her twin brother, death will avenge her or avenge him, since you're a lady. Get it confused there. Hello, Needs Watchers. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. So let's see what's going down. Yep, 300-pound weight loss is pretty big. Positive Therapist says it sounds similar to a token economy, but only the winners benefit. This is in regard to DietBet. Better yet, it sounds like a pyramid scheme. Yeah, sounds like an MLM, multi-level marketing. Yeah, it's just all shady. D.I. Grifter, welcome to the show. I like this comment. Yeah, man, proper fitness scamming needs a catchy hashtag so we can label and shame them easily. I agree with that. I agree with that. Yeah. Yes, have to be more careful in these social media streets, says Skincare Do's and Don'ts. It's easy to get scammed. Yeah, that's the problem, man. It's hard to tell the scammer from the real person if you think about it, right? When you see this transformation, what's the difference between this person and the normal person who did a transformation? It's hard to tell, man. It's definitely hard to tell. And worse, if you newly discover them, how would you even know? You may think, oh my goodness, this girl lady's the greatest ever. This guy is the most wonderful ever. Yeah, you got to just, stay on your P's and Q's. The organizers of DietBet know that people generally do not stick to a weight loss diet, and the success rate for most diets is very low. Oh yeah, without a doubt, they know this. They know, they count on this, right? This is what this business model is based on. It's almost, a similar thing. Well, not similar, but I'll draw an analogy with gyms. Gyms know that they make money off people not showing up, right? They don't make money off people like me. They make money off the old version of me who would just pay, get automatically charged, and just never show up or sporadically show up. They don't really make money off people that show up regularly. They make money off the people who don't show up or the people who go to classes. Can cram a whole bunch of people in a class, a Zumba class, for example. Yeah. Let's see. Skincare do's and don'ts. That's scamming at its finest. I agree. The Positive Therapist says they are great at marketing. They are using this picture to garner sympathy. That was her in the hospital, and play on people's emotions. I feel bad for her, but this is not right in my personal opinion. I agree with you there. The word choice. Yes, Skincare do's and don'ts points it out. The details of our medical issue tug at the heartstrings. Oh yeah, there was a ton of people. I mean, a good chunk of that 70K was raised very quickly. Then it kind of slowed down when they're having problems, and people were like, well, what exactly happened to you? Why won't you talk to us? Then people are posting about it being shady, and I guess she was deleting them because I would go into Instagram and see a post, then next day they'd be gone. So she was deleting them and blocking those people, I'm sure. Yeah. Very sketchy. Skincare dudes, wow, she's huge. Yep. That didn't happen overnight. No, it did not. Yeah, she's just heading back the opposite way, right? The real as she coming very hardcore as usual. The husband looks like he takes things. Oh yeah, it looks like he steals. Yeah, he does. They do look like a shady couple. I will agree. In the words of the older Black people, she just let herself go. Ray Charles can see that she turned into the Michelin Man. Oh, the real is she coming with the jokes tonight, taking over from Tamika. Clearly, that's a huge weight gain. Oh yeah, going crazy. Yeah. Yeah, everyone wants to be a health fitness influencer, says Skincare Do's and Don'ts. Some of them just as bad-bodied and overweight, giving all the wrong advice on social media. Yeah, I was surprised how many of these people exist. seems like, yeah, you just soar up there, you lose a little couple pounds or maybe a lot, but you don't know what the hell you're doing. And yeah, you can create a following, man. They'll buy those little products, the slimming teas, the weight loss belts, all the mumbo jumbo nonsense. Ah, yeah. Really, she asks, does DietBet allow people who've had weight loss surgery compete? Did this woman have weight loss surgery? She had surgery to remove excess skin. That is official. She has publicly stated that. She's talked about it in videos. She's alleged to also have had weight loss surgery. We don't know if she did or did not. Clearly, something went wrong to end up in the hospital, right? I'm just guessing here, but I'm guessing it had something to do with some kind of desire to lose the weight. And she did something. I don't know what she tried, but clearly it didn't work. And because for you to just go from normal to hospitalized, that they're giving you your final rights and stuff, that's, yeah. Granted, she did have extreme weight loss when she lost the 300 plus pounds because she did it so quickly. And it was like 18 months or something. We did the calculations in the original video. It was ridiculous because if you lose more than 2 pounds per week over a consistent period of time, that is now extreme weight loss, right? And if you do an extreme weight loss, then yeah, put a ton of stress on your organs, as we discussed in 2 months ago in the other show. That was funny because that was my first live stream ever. Nostalgic moments there. But that's a really good question. Really good question. Welcome to the show, Tony. Tony says, never trust a GoFundMe that doesn't give explicit details. Those are wise words. To be honest, this is the first time I realized GoFundMe can be gimmicky or potentially shady, because every other GoFundMe I'd ever seen before was always clearly legitimate. I never stupidly didn't think of people. I just assumed that the company has some kind of vetting process, let's say. I didn't realize anybody could just create the GoFundMe page. They're like, oh, I need $200,000. Like, what the hell? Right? Yeah. Skincare do's and don'ts, saying it was a waste of money to undergo skin removal surgery only to gain most of the weight back. This is true. This is true. This is true. Yeah, because she's essentially potentially creating loose skin all over again. And that stuff is A, not easy to recover from, and B, obviously expensive, right? Expensive. What do you guys think about all that money they made and still asking for 200K, right? If you go with that 10% number, they've made at least 700K, technically speaking. Granted, they switched the 200K to 100K. What do you guys think about that? I'm curious. Oh, and I should drop the link in case anybody wants to call into the show. I really struggle streaming tonight. So that's the link in case anybody wants to call in. Positive Therapist, thanks so much for the super chat. The Positive Therapist says, I'm a clinical therapist, not a doctor. I have not assessed her, so I can't speak on her mental health. From what I've seen online, she's continuing to post pictures of a ER, not her in it. So she's continuing to promote this. Picture of an ER, not her in it. Okay, so she's still posting misleading photos is what you're saying. Okay, got it. Okay, I see what you're saying. But yeah, definitely thanks for that super chat. I appreciate each and every super chat you guys gives me. I know it's your hard-earned money, so I really appreciate that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I don't think I've missed any comments here. Have I? No, I don't think so. The realist, she says, everyone I know who's had those different weight loss surgeries have had ongoing health issues. No thanks. You still have to eat right and exercise or you'll end up regaining the weight. Yeah, the weight loss surgery thing, man, it's kind of like almost like a trap, right? I feel it's kind of like a trap because firstly, if you don't address the underlying problem, you're just going to get fat again, right? I remember meeting somebody And she told me, she had weight loss surgery, tummy this, a butt lift. And she said, after a year or two, she couldn't see the evidence anymore of the butt lift, right? Because she didn't address the underlying issues, right? Still wasn't working out the way she needed to work out. The diet was still not optimal. And she had multiple surgeries, right? But if you don't address the root cause, you're just going to end up back where you started, except you're going to be worse off now, right? I mean, the studies show you remove that fat from the body through surgery and you screw up and it can come back in terrible places. It can come back in your face, weird spots, and your body's going to make it harder for you to get rid of it the second time around, right? We'll put it deeper inside internal organs because as far as your body knows, it went through some kind of trauma and somebody stole the fat from it, right? So it wants it back. So there's potentially some serious issues there, right? Yeah. Welcome to the show, Snuggle668, and welcome, Sex Amethyst. How's it going? Let's see. In my opinion, Skincare Do's and Don'ts says, in my opinion, they're manipulators and very unethical. I agree. We don't know for sure, but they seem very sketchy. Very sketchy. Positive Therapist says, it appears she's promoting a medical-related illness. She's posting positive message to her followers. Yeah. Apparently, it's one of those things. Remind me of the Noom thing, where they have all these wonderful messages, right? But what does it really mean, These clever little sayings, like she puts one about with using the Scrabble things. You don't know how strong you can be until you need to be strong, or some mumbo jumbo stuff like that, right? But she was still doing all this cool posts, but still getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And being misleading, because the first thing I'd noticed when I did the first video is that there was no video of her. That was suspicious to me, right? When you can't see the person moving, it's easy to fake it, right? I'm moving, so at least I look like my pictures. And there's a video on a gentleman I've not done yet, right? Anyway, he unfortunately has passed away. But I noticed it was strange that he had no videos of himself. Or let me rephrase it. When he had videos, he was always fully clothed, like neck down, the arms, everything. But his pictures would always be shirtless, where he looked ripped and kind of jacked. I mean, not huge, but jacked and lean. But there was any video, he looked gaunt and covered up everything down to the wrist. That I thought was a bit strange. It made me a bit skeptical, right? Because you can look good, to look good, and you can take hundreds of pictures and just slowly dribble them out. And then you can repost them. I've seen this on Instagram so many times. Like every couple of weeks, a couple of months, you'll see somebody who had a transformation. They just keep reposting pictures. And they have huge followings, right? Huge followings. People don't seem to care. Plus, they get new people who didn't see those pictures. Oh, man. Let me drop the link again since some of you guys just came in here in case you want to call in. Let's see. This is a very good one here. The realist she says, I heard a woman who regained the weight say, the surgery only addressed my physical overeating, but it doesn't address the mental part. Oh, wow. I'm going to reuse this phrase myself in future shows, the realist she. This is great. The surgery will only address your physical problems, but it won't address the mental problem. And I will sound so clever, so brilliant. Yes. But there'll be video evidence, realist she, that I did hear it from you first. But yeah, it's always about the root cause. In all seriousness, in my professional career, we try to look at root cause analysis. You don't want to address the symptom of the problem, right? Somebody's coughing or sneezing. That's a symptom of a cold, but what's the root cause? How did they get the cold? Or a cut. Somebody's bleeding. You put a Band-Aid on. What you should try to figure out is how did they cut themselves so you can prevent them from cutting themselves again, right? That's what you want to do. You don't want to keep getting cuts. You don't want to keep putting on Band-Aids, right? You don't want that. Yep, it's you. Skincare do's and don'ts says it's useless to have those BBLs and tummy tucks only to go back to poor eating habits. I agree. I agree. Let's see. The positive therapist says the negative stigma associated with mental health discourage many from seeking help from a therapist. In the Black community, we are told we can pray about it. We can pray and sit on the couch. Yes, this is so unfortunate, but so true. It's a two-part thing, right? Yeah, I mean, there's definitely negative stigma associated with getting any kind of therapy of any kind, or counseling or whatever. You're weak, whether you're a guy or a lady, it's just not viewed terribly positive, right? So there's that. And secondly, specifically in the Black community, yeah, we're told about praying. Gonna pray for my health. Don't need to go to the gym. Gonna pray to get myself a husband. Don't need to lose any weight. Don't need to change behavior, right? But although it's not in the Bible, that saying the Lord helps those who help themselves is an apt saying. In this case, you need to get therapy. You need to go hire a personal trainer, go to a gym. Just acknowledge if you don't know what the hell you're doing with your diet, either go spend a ton of time researching it or hire somebody like me, right? It's one or the other, but not doing anything should not be an option. You're going to regret it. Guaranteed you're going to regret it. Skincare do's and don'ts says, that's one of my biggest qualms with the Black church. Prayer is a method to cope and find hope, but you need practical means also to deal with real life problems. This is so true. I mean, if you're 300 pounds, you can't just pray for a slimmer body. It doesn't work that way. You need somebody to tell you what to do, explain to you, tell you how to do it, explain to you why you should do it. That's the only way. And you're not going to find that answer just in praying, I don't think. Don't think so. The realist she says, not only the waste of time and money for those surgeries, but also the whole going through the surgery part. That's a lot to do just to regain the weight that skincare do. That's true. Because you got the risk, right? The surgical risk, which I really got better info on recently, whether it's weight loss or some other things. Yeah, there's a surgery risk, right? Whether you're not going to wake up or not, or something else goes wrong. You've had botched surgeries before. A lady just died the other day. Do you remember where? Was it New York or something, where she went to one of those like underground clinics or something, and something went wrong and some car pulled up and dropped her off at the ER, but she passed away. Yeah. You know, so is it really worth it to risk your life from these surgeries? Yeah, I don't think so. Because the reality is, through proper eating and exercise, you can change, you know. Again, it's all about the laws of thermodynamics. If you burn more than you consume, you will lose weight, right?
In this house, we obey the laws of thermodynamics.
That's exactly how it is. That's exactly how it is, right? Let's see. Prayer does not trump your piss poor habits. That is so true. That is so true. And for those who think otherwise,
it doesn't matter what you think.
It really doesn't. It really doesn't. It really doesn't. Interesting. The positive therapist says, oops, bring that extra break. I see it every day. Thankfully, since the pandemic started, there are more people seeking therapy. Currently, 90% of my private clients are Black women. Yeah, that's a lot. It's definitely a lot. No doubt about that. Huh. Yeah. Coach, many people don't address the root cause because they don't want to go see someone like me. Yep, it's true. You know, they just suffer in silence. They suffer in silence. They suffer in silence. Yep, Kanye's mom passed away attempting cosmetic surgery. You are so right. You know, you are very right. Very right. But going back to what Positive Therapist said, go back up here. What did she say? Let's see. Well, I actually brought it up already. Yep, she was told by a doctor she did not qualify for surgery. It's funny, I got a haircut today, and Barbara was telling me about that story. I didn't know about it either. She couldn't get the surgery here, so she went elsewhere, and unfortunately passed away. So, yeah, you're technically correct there, Positive Therapist.
Technically correct. The best kind of correct.
Exactly. Exactly. See what else have we got going on. Gonna drop the link one more time in case anybody wants to call up. Let's see. This is a very good point. The realist she says, I'm in favor of blacks getting therapy, but I guess I'd never think of going to therapy to talk about my weight. Yeah. Because until you address that mental part, right? I could give you the greatest workout program tailor-made for you, diet, but if mentally you're not there, it won't really matter, right? It doesn't matter, does not matter. So it will not matter. And for some people, they really do need therapy to address what's the underlying issue, because the food may just be a coping mechanism, right? They may be eating a lot, but it's to compensate for some other problem that they're having going on. The eating is not, it's just a coping mechanism, right? So sometimes same with drinking. Some people can drink as a coping mechanism, right? Yeah. Those are some of the potential issues for sure, for sure, for sure. All right, so we've been going about an hour, and I don't think anybody wants to call in tonight, so I'm gonna call it a wrap. So great show tonight. We'll kick off next week on Monday with another good show, right? And I'm gonna be interviewed on at least one show next week, Money Bass. I'll do a post in the community tab so you guys can check that out. And perhaps another show as well next week. So I will keep you guys posted. So laters, my massive. Me I go along now. For those who don't speak Jamaican patois, that is goodbye, my people. Do you guys like my shirt? Thought it was pretty cute, right? Pretty clever with my office thing going on here. But nobody talked about my shirt. Anyway, maybe I'll wear it again on Monday. Maybe I'll wear it again on Monday. How do I turn off this thing? My office, the gym. I thought it was pretty clever.